Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of All Queued Up, your review podcast tied to streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, what have you. I'm your host, Greg Dietz, and with me always is Maya Don Fisher. How's your week been?
Overall, it's not been too bad. Had a disappointing hiccup yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, Monday night, I got an email from Sony. I've been on a waiting list to buy a PS5 for months now because they have a direct sales and they send out invites only, one per household. And I was like, great, awesome. I was excited. And I get in, when the event starts, and I go in. My wait time, because they put you in a queue, was less than 4 minutes. And I get in, everything was sold out, and I was like, "What the fuck?" So I was disappointed about that. But I mean, worse things could happen. I mean, shit, you could lose a leg for shit's sake. Um, but I mean, that was disappointing. But other than that, everything has been really good. Had a great weekend of playoff football. Holy shit!
God damn, yeah.
Um, so that was exciting. All the games were exciting, nail biters.
Like, every game didn't have to come down to the wire that fucking close. I was like, it's getting insane, guys. We could just, we don't have to do it like this.
But it's so exciting when it's like that. I enjoyed it very much.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm being facetious when I say that. I'm mostly referring to Raider and Niner games.
Yeah.
Because even though I'm a Niner fan, and I say that lightly because like I care, I just care about the Niners winning, and that's like the extent of my fandom, if you will. Um, I still want them to win, and when it's that close, yes, it's entertaining, but it's also fucking intense.
Oh, it is.
And it was like every game that the Niners have had so far has been that, and I'm like, oh my god. So, um, I've had Niner fans say like it's taken years off their life, and I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but no, it was a really like fun week of football. Arguably the most entertaining that football's been in a hot minute.
It it was the best week of the entire season.
Yeah.
And it was
Uh,
only 4 games, but they were all great.
and that's something to me that like whenever I think of like the final few teams in the playoffs, battling it out for the championship or to get to the final game. And I'm not just talking about football, like I'm talking about every other sport. Like
Hmm.
this is what I expect to see. Because if every team is this good against each other,
Yeah.
then you're gonna get these types of games, or at least you should. And then you get like fucking absolute blowouts, and then the team that blew out the other team next week gets their ass blown out, and it's like it gets a little like it gets boring.
Well,
But
that's why I love college basketball so much. The tournament when it comes to March Madness. Oh, you get exciting games and upsets and fucking
yeah,
just yeah. That's the feeling that this weekend of football provides.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just yeah. Anyway,
Um,
how's your week been?
it's been all right. It's been mostly I don't know. It's been a lot of work. I put in a lot of extra hours this week because we had a few bills that we needed to pay, which that story. I'm not getting into it. Not on the podcast at least. Uh, yeah, nothing super substantial. This week is a little bit more nerve wracking because as of recording this Thursday, or no, I'm sorry, we record this Wednesday. On Thursday, tomorrow, um, my dad and I have to go to the hospital because he's finally having the surgery to put the thing in his arm for uh, his dialysis.
No, it's not a pick line, is it?
No, it's something else. They call it something else. I'm drawing a complete
Okay,
blank on it.
because a pick line runs directly to your heart chamber, whereas this would be dialysis. It would run to a different thing. But I assume that the insertion, the port that they put in, is similar, or the process would be similar.
Yes, more or less. It's like when we went to the dialysis clinic. God, it seems like 2 years ago. Like it's been that fucking long. Um, I could be way the fuck off on that, but we were sitting in an office with a woman with full masks on. So it was during the pandemic for sure. But she had the thing, again, drawing a blank on the name of it, in her arm, and it was kind of like a lump on her arm right here.
Is it called a hemodialysis catheter?
That doesn't sound familiar at all. So
okay,
it has like a weird name to it, but basically it's what they're going to use to connect to every fucking time he comes in to have his blood recycled, because that's essentially what a dialysis machine does. It does the job that your kidneys can't do anymore. That's
an AV fistula.
Fistula, that's the fucking word.
Astrovenous fistula.
Fucking
Or arteriovenous fistula, sorry.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna be putting in his arm, but I don't know where exactly. I think he wanted it up here, but I could be wrong. But yeah, it's
images show it's usually placed in between the wrist and the elbow, or somewhere in that region.
Yeah, like the girl that we were talking to had it on her arm here, to which my response was like, I hope you like long sleeve shirts, Dad. I hope that's something you enjoy. And he was like, I don't know. But the positive angle of him having this finally done is that however long left he has on the earth, he'll be able to eat what he wants. Granted, we're still going to need to be careful about our intake because we're both fat. So it's not like steak for dinner every night, but he'll definitely be able to eat animal protein.
He'll be able to eat some red meats. Well, yeah, because he's not been able to eat any animal protein, even chicken or fish, has he?
For about 3 years now, yeah. No, less than 3 years. This started May of 2020. So it's been that long.
Roughly 2 years, almost 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, because we got that news. I had my permit, and we were driving around quite a bit. And then September, I ran over that curb and fucked up the car. That was August. Yeah, it was August because it was still summer. Because the air conditioner broke, and I remember being pissed off because we could still drive the car. The car was still usable.
It was just hotter than balls.
It was hot. Like I broke the AC essentially and the right side panel. So whenever that passenger door was opened, it sounded like fucking metal just. Like, it was just terrible. But I remember having to drive about 25 minutes on the freeway out of the way with somebody's like iced drink that melted before we got there. So that pissed me the fuck off. But yeah, so it was about May of 2020 that we got this news. And I know that there's a Brazilian barbecue place near our house that he wants to go to really bad.
Those places, they're expensive, but man, they're good.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out the bill situation for us to do that. But I know that it's something that he's like, I can't wait to do it. So yeah, but
they're just feeding you fucking meat until you say, "All right, I'm tapping."
The full-on meat sweats. It's gonna be great. But yeah, we went to the that was actually kind of funny. So none of us in this house have had a proper COVID test, right?
Yeah.
None of us have ever felt the symptoms, so we never thought to get the COVID test. But because of the surgery, my dad needed a COVID test, but he needed the 24-hour one, the one where they stick the thing way the fuck up in your nose.
Tickle your fucking medulla oblongata.
And so we get to the hospital the other day and we're doing that, and the nurse like sticks it way the fuck up there and then pulls it out and then goes to do the other nostril. But when she pulled it out, the first one, the sound my dad made was like if someone uncorked him. Like you heard like a like it was that. Fuck it, I could not stop laughing. I just had to turn my back because I was fucking cracking up. It was too much. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm nervous about the fistula thing. And I only say that because like it's somewhat a non-invasive surgery. I mean, it's invasive as fuck. Like they're putting a thing in your body, but it's on his forearm. I don't know. I always get nervous with surgeries.
No. I mean, that's understandable completely. Believe me. I remember when I had my leg amputated. That was a multiple surgery process. I don't even remember the second surgery, but that happened on a Monday. When they realized, okay, you're going to actually pull through this, you're going to live. Because when they first amputated it, they didn't close it up. They had a wound vac on it to suck out the drainage and all that shit. Then they had to actually close it up and, I guess tie everything off or what have you and close it all up. And I don't know what all it entails, but I don't even remember that one. Because I don't remember much about that weekend because I was in such a fucking haze, heavily medicated and, pretty much about dead. But in order to go home, I had to take a certain antibiotic for 2 weeks every day, every 6 hours on the dot. And to do so, it had to be administered by IV. So they had to put in a PICC line.
Yeah.
Now, a PICC line is basically a catheter, and this was a 47 centimeter long catheter that ran from the inside of my arm, like in the area. They inserted it about midway in between my elbow and my shoulder, my armpit. They inserted it in between where my bicep and tricep meet. And they have to push this catheter with a guide wire up into your vein or into an artery over to your heart chamber. Now, because it was so close to my ear, like my armpit, I could, not only did I feel every push of it going through sinew and muscle tissue,
right,
and into the vein, I could hear it as well. And it was absolutely the coolest yet most uncomfortable thing ever. And what sucks is when it got to my armpit, instead of making the turn to head towards my heart, it started coiling up and just looping. And the doctor was like, you're not going to like this. I was like, what? He's like, it's coiling up in your armpit. I'm going to have to pull it out and and start over. I was like, okay, you got to do what you got to do. So he pulled it out, and that felt weird. Then he's like, we're going to have to numb you up with more lidocaine. I was like, okay. So they did that, and he starts again. He gets about 7 or 8 good pushes in, and I just look over at him. I was like, Doc, I can't feel my fucking leg. He had to walk away. He was laughing so hard I had him in tears. He had to walk away. But yeah, hopefully, when your dad goes through the getting the AV fistula put in, it won't be as intense as that.
Yeah, I have like, I'm weird. I know that I'm fucking weird. And one of the things that I do when I'm nervous about a medical procedure is I do a lot of research on it.
Yeah.
So, for example, quite a few years ago, I was still working at the gas station. My dad had a heart procedure, but it was like,
I remember
they had to go and turn it off, turn it on again. I wish I was joking. That's like the dumb way of saying that would happen.
No, that hurts. I've had that happen to me. It fucking hurts.
When he did that, I was nervous about it because it's a fucking heart procedure. So what I did was I just did a shit ton of research. I did a shit ton of like what does the procedure do? What's the likelihood of it failing? And if it fails, like what can they do? And yada yada yada. And like doing that helped a lot. Like it put my mind at ease in a weird way. And I know that's just me being like analytical, and that's why that works. But yeah, I found comfort in just knowing what the procedure is. So that's what I'm gonna do today. Part of what I'm gonna do today is just look into, because like the woman who did the talking to us, who had the fistula in her arm at the dialysis clinic, like she explained to us why she had it, and it was because like she had I don't remember how, but she's had it since she was like 14. She's had to be on dialysis since she was 14. And her goal was to tell us basically how not scary it is, essentially.
Yeah.
And she did a really good job at that. But what she didn't have answers to, I had questions to, which was like, what does the procedure entail? And that's what I'm going to do today, is I'm going to look at like how the procedure works and stuff like that. So I'm a little less nervous. But the other thing I don't know is like what time my dad's surgery's at, how long it's going to take. Like, I don't know any of that shit. They're going to have to keep him overnight.
It'll probably, I don't know. I would just, based on an assumption, probably take about an hour, and it'd probably be a localized thing, but I could be completely wrong.
My assumption is he'll have to be in the hospital for a few hours, and it's an in and out, procedure. But again, who's to actually fucking know at this point?
How long does it take? You'll receive either local or general anesthesia for the surgery. Surgeon accesses the artery and vein through a small incision in your arm. The operation takes about an hour. Afterward, you'll rest for 1 to 2 hours so the care team can watch you closely before discharge. So I'd say he'll be there a better chunk of the morning or afternoon, depending on what time he has to be there.
If that's the case, then I think what we'll do tomorrow then is I'll work while he's there. And then when he's discharged, I'll call it and go pick him up.
So that looks like he'll be there probably an hour before it starts, so they can take his vitals and everything. And then when it actually starts, take an hour, and then probably, I'd say you're looking at about a 4-hour window would be
that's what I'm thinking.
Guess. But
that's also absolutely dependent on what time he needs to be there.
Exactly.
That we also don't know. So, which he was like, "I'll look at that today." I'm like, "Yeah, you could have done it earlier the week and have my answers."
Yeah. I was gonna say, you don't know what time he has to be there yet. I mean, had they told him? And then I was like, "Well, this is." I asked him
last night. His legit response was, "Oh, I won't know till today," and it was like, or not today. Sorry, he said, "I won't know until tomorrow," which is today, because he said it last night before we watched Book of Boba Fett. So, which,
speaking of Book of Boba Fett,
that's what we're here for.
Let's talk about it.
So we have one thing we're going to review today, guys. Episode 5, or Chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, or more commonly known as Episode 1 of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Yeah, this entire episode, but this is all we have to review today, and then that's why we were taking our time with our intro, because what else? Yeah, this episode was entirely focused on Mando after Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Entirely focused on Mando. We didn't see Boba Fett one time.
Nope.
Which, and I hate to put it this way, I really, really do. How is the one episode that doesn't focus on Boba Fett the best episode of the season?
Yeah, no shit.
How does that I literally looked at my dad, and it was the moment where the Mando and the other Mandalorian challenges him for the Darksaber.
Vizsla.
Yes, thank you. And I said, this episode is 20 minutes in, and it's better than all 4 episodes of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
How did they do that? And here's the funniest part about that, too, by the way. This episode was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. The one that Star Wars fans claim to fucking hate.
Well, she's directed 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, one in season 1 and one in season 2. And the one in season 1
was fucking awesome.
Yeah, the one in season 1 was fans were very split on it. The one in season 2 was fucking great. So it was just like, okay, her track record is 50-50 and subjectively. But this, she knocked it out of the fucking park. Holy shit.
See, that's the thing. I fucking loved season 1 of her directed episode. The like it was so fucking like super like Cub and Wolf Samurai, right? Like it
was totally the 7 Samurai by Kurosawa.
Yeah, like I thought she fucking nailed it. But then in season 2, the one that she directed was the episode with what's her ass, Ahsoka, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was.
Yeah, and how did anyone hate that episode? This was dope as hell. Anyway, I'm getting off track here because Star Wars fans are fucking weird.
Yeah, we are.
No, we're cool. Other Star Wars fans that go like, hey, I don't really like Book of Boba Fett. And you go, oh, that's interesting. Let's talk about it. Those fans are cool. The ones that are weird are the ones that go out of their way to be like, the colorful bikers on episode 2 were stupid. That's not Star Wars. Those are the weird ones.
Not everything has to be grungy and dirty and grimy.
There was a joke on Twitter. I think you might have sent it. No. Okay, I think I said it to you, and it was so fucking funny to me. And I might divide the group here on our listeners. But it was give me 2 seconds to find the joke. I don't want to ruin it, but I know who posted it last, so it should take me a second here. Because I had it saved on my phone, but our mutual friend Michelle, she posted it too. So, here it is. NFTs are just beanie babies for people who get mad at whenever there are black women in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So that's a joke I was trying to say. But anyway, so yeah, this whole episode was basically Mandalorian or Din Djarin doing stuff after season 2. We catch up with him essentially, and he's on a bounty. And it was wild to see him just fucking pull out the goddamn the Darksaber in the middle of that scene, which he burnt himself with it.
Yeah. When you're introduced to a lightsaber in the first Star Wars movie, episode 4, New Hope, Obi-Wan is like an elegant weapon from a more civilized age, not as clumsy or random as a blaster. But yet, you see him struggling to wield this Darksaber, and he is wielding it clumsily. And you're wondering, wow, what's the deal here?
What's the deal with this? Well, I think there's 2 aspects to why the Darksaber was a little bit harder to control and to wield, and that's that we saw that a little bit later with the armorer.
Mm-hmm. And that was a great explanation.
Yeah, it's not like a regular lightsaber. It absolutely wields force ability, if you will, to the extent of basically telling the wielder, like, if you're not one with it, you're fucking done. Like, it's shit's gonna suck. At least that's how I took it.
Yeah, we see him, but we see him break out the Darksaber in this fight. He collects his bounty. Well, he collects the head of his bounty target, and takes it to a nightclub that's on this. I don't know what it's called. I don't know if this place has been established in the comics or the books or anything.
Yeah, same.
But
I have no clue.
but visually, it was pretty amazing, and it was very Gundam-esque. Um, what it is, it looks like a colony that's it's orbiting some type of space station, but it's a ring just constructed. And on this ring, it's just basically like, think of a planet, but inverted.
I'll make it a little easier. I made the joke as soon as we started watching the episode to my dad. Did we just start watching Halo? What the fuck is this? The ring worlds in Halo look similar, but less like. Imagine if a ring world in Halo was Coruscant. That's how I'm going to put it. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but are you also looking up what it is?
I'm looking up to see what it is.
Okay, I'll put my phone down then. But yeah, it's like Maya said, it's a giant ring city. A giant ring city. That's the best way that it can be put. It kind of looks like a hub of sorts. What Mos Eisley is for Tatooine, this ring city is for like the random fucking place in space. But it also looks very bureaucratic too. So there's a lot of that. Like later in the episode, when when Mandalorian is leaving this place, he's forced to put away all of his weapons in like a box of sorts. I don't know what to call that.
Yeah, he had to check his weapons.
Yeah. And all that, that scene being very funny, it also kind of showed like what this place is. Which I hope we get like an explanation down the line of what it is exactly, because they just kind of do it, and it's like it's there and it's done, Maya's very quiet because she is looking up the name of this place.
I'm obsessed with finding it now.
So prior to while she's looking for that, I'll kind of go into what happens a little bit later. But the reason that Mando's on there in the first place is because he knows that the other Mandalorians that were on Tatooine, the ones he fought with in season 1, he knows that they're there, but he doesn't know where they are. So he's trying to get information out of somebody, out of other people to find them. He does. He finds them, and we get a really fucking cool scene with who's remaining amongst the Mandalorians. And they seem to have a little resentment towards him about the situation that happened in season 1.
On Navarro.
Yeah. But not enough resentment to like make him leave. However, he does reveal the Darksaber, and there's a conversation about like where it comes from and who it belonged to, and they straight up borrowed that whole thing with him, with like the Darksaber, from the books about a Mandalorian who was also a Jedi.
And who was of House Vizsla, which the action figure has been just referred to as the Heavy Mandalorian, but his name is Paz Vizsla.
Yeah.
It was his ancestor that created the Darksaber. So immediately when he sees it, he looks at it, and you can tell he's like, oh, that will be mine. I mean, you can see that underneath the helmet, just his body language just conveyed, no, that belongs to me, and I'm going to take it.
Yeah, like that's something I really appreciate about how this show does stuff with the Mandalorians is you don't have to see their face to know how they're emoting. There's like a subtle shift in their body language or like their stance, and you're just like, ooh, he's mad. Or, oh, he's upset, or he's relaxed. Like, just based on body language, and it's brilliant. Like, even if you're not good at reading body language, the show does a good job at fucking doing that for you. Like, it's just brilliant. I fucking love it. But yeah, one of the things, if you remember from the end of season 2 with the woman who played Starbuck in fucking Battlestar Galactica, what the hell's her name?
I don't know. Never watched it.
Bo-Katan. The actress played Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bo-Katan won't, like, she wanted the Darksaber.
Katie Sackhoff, by the way.
Thank you. She wanted it, but because you know, Din Djarin fucking defeated Moff Gideon. Gideon, thank you. She didn't want to take it. And it wasn't until like the end of the episode when he's trying to train with the Darksaber and doing a poor job at it, mind you.
You see him, he's swinging, and it's like taking every concerted effort he has to swing this thing, and it's just very awkward and clumsy looking. And he says it gets heavier every time I try to use it. With every swing, it gets heavier. And she says that's because you're fighting the blade. You're not fighting me.
Yeah. And then the other fucking Vizsla, Vaz? The fuck's his first name?
Paz, P-A-Z.
Paz. Paz Vizsla comes up and is like, hey, motherfucker, my ancestor built that fucking saber. It belongs to me. Let's fucking duel it out.
Well, he says maybe it's because the wrong person's wielding it.
I know, and I was paraphrasing it anyway.
Yeah, Din Djarin was like, maybe you're right. And,
yeah, their fight was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Because Mando actually loses the Darksaber in the fight, you know, and Paz Vizsla picks it up and starts swinging it at him. And then he pulls out like a little vibro knife and just starts like sticking him in the kidneys and slashing the back of his legs and shit.
Yeah.
And then he gets the upper hand and gets the upper hand.
The thing that was cracking me up was Paz kept grabbing him by the head and just slamming his head into the fucking side of the wall there.
Yeah. Because
that's the thing about Paz. He's got a solid 100 pounds on Mando for sure.
Oh yeah, he is big.
And it was just like watching that fight reminded me of when the actor under the Mando outfit fought the Mountain in Game of Thrones.
Pedro Pascal,
yeah. You know, when he fought the Mountain, I was like, oh, this is very reminiscent. But yeah, Mando wins, and then the armorer goes, hey, Paz, you ever taken off your helmet? No. Hey, Din, have you ever taken off your helmet? And he just is silent. Because you have to remember, one of arguably the best episodes of season 2 was with Bill Burr, and he takes off his helmet.
Yeah,
but it's you know it's the best thing that he could have done for that mission, and because he takes off his helmet, he is no longer a Mandalorian, according to.
Well, he also took it off, you know, when he said goodbye to Grogu too. So Luke saw him, Bo-Katan saw him, Cara Dune saw him, Costco Reeves saw him. So
I forgot about that. Because look, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. The better scene in him taking off his helmet was definitely in the episode with Bill Burr. Like, I'm sorry, the end of season 2 was rad, but that episode was cooler. It just was. God, that episode's rad.
This episode makes me want to rewatch season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's totally a fair fucking feeling, because like it's that good, it's that fun. But yeah, so
before we get to this though, one of the things before this duel between him and Paz Vizsla happened was she was like, "Where did you get the spear?" He's like, "It was given to me by a Jedi Ahsoka Tano. And she's like, Beskar should not be used as weapons, only armor. He says, then make it armor. And she said, what shall I make it? He said, make it into something for a foundling. And he's like, a particular foundling, I want it made for Grogu. So she crafts something for Grogu, and he is going to take it to Grogu. He says, I need to see him. I need to know he's okay. And she's like, but the Jedi are against attachments. He's like, but our creed, loyalty and solidarity is what we're about. So it's giving us a tease that in season 3 he's going to return to see Grogu at some point.
Yeah. I also like the scene in which like he's on the carrier heading towards Tatooine, and he the little kid is on the back seat waving at him, and he pulls out the little pouch with whatever the armor was there for Grogu, and as he pulls it out and he's holding it in his hand, it took the shape of Grogu's head.
Yeah, the way the bow was knotted.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's cute, it's real cute. So yeah, the second half of the episode takes place on Tatooine, and we meet back up with arguably one of my favorite fucking characters from The Mandalorian.
Yeah, Amy Sedaris' character, her name is...
they say it in the episode, but I fucking drawn a complete blank.
Hold on.
She's awesome though. She's chasing down some kind of critter that grabs a BD unit. And if you've played
Peli Motto.
Peli Motto, okay.
Peli, Peli Motto.
Peli, got it. I thought it started with a P, and you said Ellie, and I was like, well, she's looking it up, not me. So, yeah, I fucking love this character. Yeah, she's chasing down some critter that drives a BD unit.
It's a Womp Rat.
Was it a Womp Rat? Okay, that makes sense. The BD unit, if you've played Jedi Fallen Order, then that's how you know BD1. Because BD1 is like your little buddy the entire game. And so the second I saw a BD unit, I was like, ugh!
Yeah. I was like,
my dad, of course, didn't get that because he was like, what the fuck? Like, it's just a droid. And I'm like, it's more than a droid. You shush. It's like seeing a fucking R2 unit and not immediately connecting it to R2D2.
Yeah.
But what I love about fucking Peli's character is that her entire squad is droids. Her entire group is droids. But she's
got a BD unit. She's got the R5 unit, which, if I'm not mistaken, is supposed to be the same R5 unit that Luke's Uncle Owen originally was buying from the Jawas, and then the motivator blew in it, and they took R2 instead. If I'm not mistaken, it's supposed to be canon that it's the same droid.
Are you talking about the astromech that she has?
Yeah, okay, R5D4.
Okay. Gotcha. I was very confused by that. I was like, what? But yeah, like her entire droid squad is great because it's comprised of an astromech, which usually isn't a thing.
Yep,
and then she's got a bunch of fucking.
According to Wikipedia,
that's
it's
awesome.
The same R5 droid.
I didn't know. That's amazing. It makes sense. I mean, apparently she's fucked a Jawa.
Yeah, very furry. Lots of problems there. Very furry.
I could watch a whole like fucking movie on her character alone, like just running a fucking mechanic's shop. So fucking anyway. So yeah, Mando shows up and she says, like she saves her from the Womp Rat that's grabbing her, which looked very funny to me. And
that was a little on the goofy side, but aside from that, I didn't care.
It didn't bother. It was funny. I liked it. I mean, that's the thing you have to keep in mind. Like, I think one thing that a lot of Star Wars fans kind of don't want to pay attention to is that Star Wars is still a kid's franchise.
Oh, absolutely.
So having goofy moments like that, it's not for you as an adult. Like, so find your inner kid and just enjoy that little bit. Anyway, getting off track here.
But the reason he's there is he's like, you messaged me that yeah, you said you got a replacement for the Razor Crest. She's like, yep. So he's expecting another Razor Crest. What she unveils is a full-on Naboo starfighter.
Yeah. And I was trying to tell my dad, I was like, this motherfucker, this thing is fast. And he was like, how fast? I'm like, super fast. Because I got all excited when I saw it. I was like, ooh. And he was like, well, how do you know what that is? And I was like, you've watched episode 1, right? No, of course. You remember the ship that Anakin flew into the Trade Federation?
Yeah.
And like in space and fucking blew it up. Yeah, I remember that. I'm like, that's the fucking ship. And he was like, okay. And he was like, and I kept trying to tell him it was fast, but he didn't realize how fast until like the scene that came out later.
Well, what was cool is, they're bartering for parts and they're souping it up and putting it together, and they're working on it together and customizing this thing, and it's basically making a fucking hot rod.
Yeah. I was like, it was like watching two people build a fucking muscle car, like a 60s Cadillac or some shit like that, or 60s Camaro.
I'm going to say a Cadillac was not considered a muscle car.
I don't know that much about fucking cars. I just know that like those old school cars that people like to rebuild, where the engine block is sticking out the top of the hood where it wouldn't have when it was brand new, is what this scene felt like to me.
Yeah.
But what I liked most about this episode was that the chemistry between Peli and Mando is just fun. It's just fun. Nothing about it is boring or lame. It's just fun.
Yeah.
And Amy Sedaris plays her character so well. I couldn't get enough of it. I was just smiling from ear to ear the entire fucking sequence. One of the best parts about this entire scene is like pulling out some fucking vernacular, some Star Wars vernacular that you rarely hear in Star Wars nowadays. Like, it's super uncommon to hear like fucking engine parts and mechanical pieces in a proper way, Like, we've gotten that stuff in books, we've gotten that stuff in the comics, but in the movies, in the live action stuff, it's not a thing. So it was fucking cool to kind of see that.
Yeah.
Personally, but yeah, I don't know. Like, it was just fun. It was just a lot of fucking fun to watch this. But that was the other thing, was this whole episode, I kept thinking, like, when is Fennec Shand going to show up? Like, when is she going to show up and say, like, hey, Boba Fett needs you? And then I thought the second half of the episode, or at least the last third of the episode, was going to be that. I thought, like, he's going to go meet up with Boba Fett and learn about the Pikes and all that kind of stuff. But they didn't do that at all. They went straight into just like it was a whole episode catching up with Mando, getting him to the point where he can be asked by Fennec Shand, which was the end of the fucking episode. There was also a really cool bit where he's test driving the fucking Naboo starfighter, and he's in space flying over a passenger ship. What the fuck are those called?
Cruise liner.
Yeah, there's a name for him though, and I'm drawing a blank.
I didn't catch the design of it.
I used to know it. I have a fucking Star Wars Trivial Pursuit game that has the name of that ship, and I used to know it off the top of my head. But anyway, but yeah, he gets in trouble. Like two of the basically cops. New Republic? The fuck are they called?
Yeah, it's the New Republic.
Yeah, it's the New Republic. That's what I thought. New Republic officers show up, and one of them we've seen in Mandalorian. But they're giving him a ration of shit for flying it around, and he doesn't have the right, verified numbers. The fuck do you call that?
His beacon, his flight beacon.
Yeah, like none of it is
it's
none
not transmitting.
Proper.
It's none of it's transmitting because it's pre-Empire. She actually says this thing's, not beaconed. because it's pre-Empire, so you won't have to worry about that.
Right. And so they were gonna let him off with a warning. And then they asked, they were like, they wanted to stop and ask him questions, and that's when the older guy played by their character has a name because he's been in a lot of Star Wars as an X-wing pilot, I think. Anyway, we've seen him in Mandalorian. That's the important part. Because he asked him, like, didn't you used to have a Razor Crest? And he hits a button that puts it into
Sublight drives.
Sublight. And because like he does Sublight, and one of the other guys was like, how did he go to warp speed? Like, how did he go to warp speed? And he didn't. That's Sublight. And that fucking Naboo starfighters are so rad. That dude's so fucking cool. But yeah, shortly after that, Fennec Shand shows up and asks him to join Boba Fett's fight. And that was where the episode ended.
Yeah, she's like, the money's good. He's like, what's the bounty? She's like, no bounty. You need muscle. He's like, well, what's it for? She's like, it's for Boba Fett. He's like, Boba, tell him it's on the house. And gives the money back.
Because he owes Boba. He really does.
Mm-hmm.
But fucking A, like you and I have said, when reviewing the book of Boba Fett so far, the first 4 episodes, we liked a lot. We thought it was a good show. Did we love it? Nah, probably not love. But we enjoyed it quite a bit. And coming into this episode, it was wild to just like legitimately say out loud, like, I wish this episode didn't end.
Yeah. The runtime from beginning to end with the credits was 51 minutes. It did not feel like 51 minutes.
Not at all. Like, I think I looked at the clock around the time that he was flying the starfighter through the canyon, and at that point it was like 12:42 or something like that, and I was like, it's been fucking 40 minutes. Like, it's awesome. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things to say about the episode. It was just fun. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It was just a good fucking time.
It was fun. It was well written, well acted, well directed.
It was funny. It was funny at parts too.
It had some levity to it. It had some seriousness to it, some grit. I mean, you see Mando break bad when he's trying to fucking track down his bounty, and he tracks him down in the beginning, and he gets so frustrated that he just chops the dude in half with the darksaber and then cuts his head off and takes his head. It had that level of grit to it. It had a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it was like, you're right, because it had the dark grittiness in the very beginning, and then later in the episode it was like, oh, Pele's fucked a Jawa. That's funny. Like, you're like the fucking juxtaposition between, levels of seriousness.
Yeah. And then when she finds out, when she says in front of those 2 Jawas that are bringing parts, and Mando's asking them if they can bring other parts, and she's like, I dated a Jawa once, And then that Jawa says something to her, and she's like, oh, no, sorry, I'm working on me now. And I was just like, oh, he just hit on her. That's funny as hell.
I started laughing at that part, and my dad was like, wait, what did he say? Like, what did he ask her? And I said, he hit on her. That's why she said, I'm working on myself now. And he was like, oh, okay. I didn't quite catch that. I was like, yeah. That was fucking, dude, it was hilarious. Like, it's the first time, I'll put it this way. Like you said, it makes you want to rewatch all of Mandalorian. For me, like, I don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
So I would like to, but it's the first time I've like wanted to rewatch an episode of Book of Boba Fett.
Same.
Which is
in fact,
a lot.
Misty and I are going to rewatch it because I told you this before we recorded, but I'm using story for the viewers. We were I fell asleep like early yesterday evening. Like I dozed off after 7 p.m. and I woke up at midnight. And I was like, fuck, because I usually only sleep 5 to 6 hours a night. I was like, I've essentially slept a full night's sleep tonight. What the hell? So I was like, yeah, I'll play a little Animal Crossing on the Switch. And, Misty went to bed. Uh, and then I get done and I'm like, well, it's 5 minutes till 3. I'm not tired yet. They dropped the new episode of Book of Boba Fett at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. I was like, I'll just go ahead and watch it. So I'm watching through my PlayStation, through the Disney Plus app, and I've just plugged my earbuds, which have great sound on them, into my controller, and I'm watching it. I fire it up. Misty gets up about that time, and she goes to the bathroom. Um, and then she goes and lays back down. Well, I'm down on the floor watching it, and she's behind me. I assume she's laying down. So I'm watching it with my earbuds in. She was watching it behind me the entire time with just the subtitles on, because I watch everything with subtitles, because there's a lot of times dialogue goes sometimes too quickly, or some like
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I don't
always
think
keep
I watch
subtitles
things.
on.
Yeah. Everything that I watch that has story stuff has subtitles.
Yep. So she watched it that way, and I didn't realize it. So I'm watching the end credits, because I always watch the credits all the way to the end in case there's a post-credit scene or anything like that. I do that with everything.
Yeah, same here. With a movie, I can tell you right now, there are a couple websites that you can use. The one that I do is aftercredits.com.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm like sitting in the theater and the movie's about to start, I'll pull up aftercredits.com to see if there's stingers.
Gotcha.
It saves time.
What was funny though is I get done watching it, and I'm watching the after credit scene, and it's pitch fucking black. Here it is. It's almost 4 in the morning, and just something taps me on the dead center of my forehead, and I jumped like, as far as high as you can jump when you're sitting on the floor and you don't have a fucking leg anyway, like out of my fucking skin. It scared the shit out of me, and she's just standing over me. She's like, "That was the best episode yet. That was amazing." And I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're supposed to be asleep." She's like, "I want to watch it again, but with the sound on this time." And I was like, Jesus. She enjoyed it so much with no sound whatsoever, just watching the fucking images and the fucking reading the subtitles. And she was like, that was the best episode we've seen yet of Book of Boba Fett. She likes the Book of Boba Fett, but she's not really been into it. But this, she's like, we have to watch that later. And I was like, okay, we will. And then she put on coffee at 4 in the fucking morning, and we drank coffee, and she went to work, because she works from home and she sets her own hours. And once, she's pretty much essentially done working for the week now, because she already worked. So after we get done recording, we'll probably watch it here in the next little bit, because it was that fucking good.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and say this episode gets an A fucking plus.
Yeah, same here. 100% an A plus. Like, again, like I couldn't give something any lower than an A plus if I'm like jonesing to watch it again.
Yeah,
knowing my schedule and my backlog of shit, Jesus Christ, that should speak volumes. But yeah, I don't think we could say enough nice things about this episode. And it's wild. Again, it's wild that it took an episode all about Boba Fett, or sorry, all about Mandalorian, for us to be like, it's just wild to me. It's wild to me that we have 4 episodes focused on Boba Fett, and then we have 1 episode focused on Mandalorian, and we immediately just fall in love with it. Like, I don't know. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that that's a thing with this particular episode. I don't get it, but
it's very good.
It's very good. It almost also felt like a standalone episode, because I guess it kind of was. Like, it basically was just getting Mando to where we need him to be for the sake of Boba Fett's story.
Yeah, and it works, to bridge the gap of what's he been up to since the end of season 2, and what's he been up to, during this time that we've been seeing with Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, and then also sets up what's going to happen potentially in season 3 of The Mandalorian. So it was a well-served episode. Is so much more than just a bridge episode, and it was so fucking good.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of people had that question too. Is like, we knew that we were getting Book of Boba Fett around the time that we would have gotten season 3 of Mandalorian, and so we were all kind of curious, like, what's the fate of the Mandalorian show? Like, we all want it back, we all loved it. Obviously, he doesn't have Grogu anymore, so where do we go from there? And we got our answer.
Well, I know they've been filming, so it's probably going to come out in this December or somewhere around there.
that was my thought. I feel like the Book of Boba Fett is a one-off. Like, we're not going to get a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, just because they're going to basically, and I could be wrong, but plant him on Tatooine, so that way future stories, if you will be in regards to that. I could be way wrong, but that's my thought process. Is that's where this show is. The Book of Boba Fett's going to end. Is lack of a season 2, but I'm excited. Like, from here on out, we got Mando and Boba and Fennec Shand together, and I'm curious who the other muscle they're going to get. Obviously, they have the Wookiee.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name, but
Chris Anton,
yes. Who I fucking adore. He's awesome as shit. And so Star Wars is fun, y'all. I like the Star Wars. All right, everybody, that's gonna do it for us today. A little bit shorter of an episode than we normally do, but that's fine. We've been doing like super long episodes lately. Next week we have Book of Boba Fett episode 6, or chapter 6 of Book of Boba Fett. And we're going to be reviewing the first 3 episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina, which is the Critical Role animated series. They had a whole campaign called Legend of Vox Machina that lasted God knows how fucking long. And they made it into a comic book, which that comic book is being adapted into an animated show. The cast on that show is like the guys who do Critical Role. But Matt Mercer, he does the voice of all the side characters, all the NPCs that the group meets up with. Instead of having those characters voiced by Matt Mercer, they got like an all-star fucking voice cast for those characters. Like, it's insane. They kind of announced it the other day, and I was like, you couldn't make me more excited for an animated show just based on that. I'm pulling it up so I can bring up the list. So, you got Stephanie Beatrice in it, Tony Hale, David Tennant.
I love Tony Hale. I love David Tennant.
Felicia Day. And then, of course, you just got a ton of fucking very talented voice actors in it, too. So I'm very excited about it. And, like, it's already gotten great reviews, so. But, yeah. A little part of me wishes Maya would watch Peacemaker, because I've been watching that every week, and top-notch show. That show would also get A+ from me if we reviewed it, just saying. But yeah, everybody. So it's those 2 next week. That's it at the moment. Were we thinking, I know it's only in theaters, but are we thinking about reviewing Jackass Forever?
I mean, I would love to, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to go see it.
Okay.
Because Uncharted also comes out not long after that, and I don't go to the movies very often, and I'm really excited about the Uncharted movie because it's some of my favorite video games, and it's Tom Holland. I mean,
yeah, I get that. I understand that. I mean, Jackass to me is going to be like it's nostalgic. It's got a lot of nostalgia for me, so.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm going to fucking cry at the theater to see that one. So, but yeah, okay. Anyway, we got to move on. We got to get out of here. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten this morning, so I want to go make some food after we're done here. Everybody, make sure you go follow all the socials which are listed down below. I'm stuttering like crazy right now for no apparent reason. If we add anything to the show, that's where you'll know if we remember to. But yeah, go follow those. Say hi. Check out the store at Teespring. We have a bunch of clothing options for you, mainly shirts, but you know, it is what it is. You can get our animated faces on them. Go check out the YouTube channel. That's where you'll be able to watch the live version of this. Not that there's a whole lot to it, it's just me, but it helps us out. It pushes the algorithm and all that shit. I say this at the end of every episode. You know how that works. Go follow, give a like, subscribe, all that jazz. But that's about it. Maya, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Facebook under my name, Maya Dawn Fisher. It's a public profile, so if you want to follow me, you can do so. It's easily done. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, those are also linked to my Facebook profile. You can catch me on other shows on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel on a show called Figure Bangin'. It's a live action figure review show with an interactive chat. A new episode this week. Go check that out. It airs live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel. And then sometimes I appear on Shelf Gravy on alternating Wednesdays, but I'll mention it when I do. If you want to check that out. But yeah, that's everywhere you can find me. What about you, Greg?
You can follow me on under all socials under Chub Rock Geek. You can find me doing video game talks occasionally with Anthony on missionstartpodcast.com or Mission Start Tubes on YouTube. Funny side story with Anthony. So Anthony is a Packers fan, and the Niners beat the Packers this last Saturday. I think it was Saturday.
Saturday night.
Yeah. When that happened, I text Anthony 2 pictures. One of the Niners celebrating. The second picture was that really funny meme of
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers on the ground with like the chin strap over his nose, looking like dumbfounded. So I just sent him those 2. I didn't hear from him for about 10, 15 minutes, and then I get a message, I almost blocked you.
That's pretty funny.
God, I always forget that he's a Packers fan until it matters.
Most Packers fans forget they're Packers fans until it matters.
Oh man, it's funny too because I don't really talk about sports unless it's the playoffs, and a team I give a shit about is there. But that's how much I pay attention to sports. But yeah, everybody. So yeah, that's it, and that's all. That's gonna do it for us. Again, Chapter 6, Book of Boba Fett, Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon Prime. Go check those out. Join us next week. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody.